Forward. The following story is not meant for children. There will be uncensored swearing, themes of self-hatred, and graphic depictions of violence. Viewer discretion is advised. The Godeater, the Crossroads, Saki, Tenki, and Miss X are all owned by Vashley and the Summer League's organizers. Quinn and associated works are owned by Wood and Sponge. Summer League's Round 1. Expectations by Choco D. Prologue. Quinn's hands creaked against the metal haft of her massive hammer that lay buried in a carapace-like body. A sea of dead eyes, light blue and lifeless, stared at her through the fog of the ruined concrete chamber. Glass lay scattered upon the ground in heavy chunks. Old computer systems as large as walls were torn asunder, and bullet holes riddled every surface in the husk of this doomed building. The one in front, a mass of steel as tall as it was wide, stepped forwards. It was a mirror of Quinn in height and mass, wielding a parallel to her own weapon. It had been Quinn down to the very same glass lens that sat in their forehead, an unblinking camera that took in every detail. The only difference had been the mask that had been upon the other's face, a lifeless thing that made Quinn's features crunch in disgust. "This is Windraiser Unit 2. Located Rampant Windraiser. Over." A deep, even, electronic voice cracked across the frost-riddled room. Quinn hefted her hammer to the side, flinging the dead body like a broken pot. It landed in a clattering mass next to another, similarly broken corpse. That had been 4 now. "Executing amputative discharge," the masked Windraiser stated with the authority of the headsman. Their fingers wrapped around the haft of their hammer, and a chunking whir, like the sound of a hydraulic heart, echoed around the cracked walls and broken structures. Quinn tugged the trigger of her reciprocating hammer, a similar noise emerging from the head of the weapon, though this was followed by a pronounced hiss as the internal components of the weapon fought from overuse and steam evaporated on its metal surface. In the darkness it was hard to tell, but from the height differences of the camera lens eyes, Quinn had guessed there were 2 more Windraisers and 8 fog piercers standing ready with their weapons pointed. She was going to die here, she thought grimly. The flash of her night with Miss X under the stars floated through her mind. She smiled. At least there had been some warmth in her life, even if there had not been much. Actually, there was warmth. Quite a bit of it now that Quinn thought about it. She jumped backwards with a loud thud as molten streams of melted rock fell through the ceiling. They bubbled and oozed slowly on the ground as a raggedy, flopping mass fell to the floor with the grace of a rock tied to a blanket. "Hey, what's up? I'm Nalagrom. Don't worry, I ain't here to kill you. Just don't start shit." A voice rose from the rags like the ruined engine of her weapon as it crackled and hissed. Just one more swing and it would all be over. "Don't mind me. Just looking for someone. Looks kinda like you nerds, actually," the cloaked figure stated, a pair of piercing red eyes peering through the darkness as he took in his surroundings. The masked Windraiser said nothing, staring in stunned silence along with the rest of her old unit and their reinforcements. "Goes by Quinn. She's like super badass and junk. Might go by Berry Blue."
"I don't go by that."
"Quinn!" A wide grin like the teeth of something nasty and bitey cut through the darkness of the wretched little thing's hood as his head snapped like a piston in her direction. She shuddered. "I've been looking for you all over. I hope you don't mind me interrupting your little powwow or whatever you've got going on here is. I just got a favor to ask." He waved his hand dismissively towards the group of soldiers standing behind him. Quinn's hands shifted with intent as she stared down the little man that strolled as though he were in control of the situation. His hands were pressed together and he stepped light and loosely. When he stopped, he looked her directly in her eye. "Would you pretty please surrender to me?" I like this. "Executing discharge. Executing amputative discharge." A lifeless thing that made Quinn's features crunch in disgust. Disgust. It landed in a clattering mass next to another, similarly